Post-fight reaction, Errol Spence defeats Danny Garcia by unanimous decision. Solid victory from Errol Spence. Hats off to both men. Hats off to Danny Garcia for his performance. Hats off to Errol Spence for his performance. Coming back from his layoff, coming back from everything that he's been through, he's able to come here and look effectively the same. Errol Spence looked as best as Errol Spence has ever looked. He gave himself a B- at the end of the fight. Still gave his props to Danny Garcia for his performance as well. But for someone that's come off, the trouble, and the recovery process that Errol Spence has had to go through to come here, and fight the way that he did, controlling the fight, not allowing, Danny Garcia to let off his shots. Like, Danny Garcia was hesitant for rounds, man. It's only like in the last couple rounds that you start to see Danny Garcia throw a bit more shots. Errol Spence, the body work, the head shots, the left hook to the body, the movement is quality stuff. Quality stuff from Errol Spence, world class. Terence Crawford was watching. Terence Crawford was watching as well from he came to show up to watch the fight as well. But like you guys, hit the subscribe button, guys, man. Hit the like button, hit the bell button. My post-fight reaction to Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia. Just came off watching the fight just now. The unanimous decision to come off. I just have to hats off to Errol Spence, man. They said that he should have a tune-up fight. He should basically fight a cream puff or attack a roll sweeper or some low-tier fighter, just to get his wits about him after his recovery process. He said, nah, I ain't fighting no cream puff. He threw himself into the deep end against, a proper contender in Danny Garcia, proper, contender, and he went in there and he did the business. Obviously he looked for the most part in the early rounds, he looked sharp. He did get caught a couple times by Danny Garcia, momentarily buzzed, but nothing too serious. Later on in the fight, he started to slow. Maybe he didn't want to give Danny Garcia any unnecessary opportunities to land his hooks, land his left hook, his renowned left hook, and because he did feel Danny Garcia's right hand, so the power, he got rocked. I'm not say rocked, but momentarily buzzed. So maybe he didn't want to give Danny Garcia any unnecessary opportunities, to tag him. Maybe that's why he gave himself a B- because he got caught by a couple of Danny Garcia's big shots. But Danny Garcia, for the most part, he didn't have the confidence to open up the hands like he normally does. Check out his previous fights. He didn't open up the hands like he normally does. He seemed to be wary of what is coming in return from Errol Spence. And in doing that, he didn't do anything. He didn't really do much, I think on one of the cards, he did lose like 116, 112. I'm not even sure. I need to go double check. Or 111. I'm not even sure. I need to go check. But he's too wary of what is coming from Errol Spence. He was too slow in like from round 1 to round 7. He was just way too slow. And even in the later rounds, he'd open up his hands a bit more. He didn't really do much. Like, even in the clinches, when they get up close, when they're up close, Errol Spence will be ripping shots to the body, opening up shots, when they're in clinches or when they're up close. And I'm waiting for Danny Garcia to open up his hands in close range, to sneak a left hook through, sneak a right hook through. And he didn't do it. Errol Spence, for the most part, was opening up the shots, and Danny Garcia wasn't really responding, when it came to getting on the inside. So it's like, with all the hype and everything up to the fight, I don't know, like, maybe it's easier said than done. It's easy to watch it and say, why Danny Garcia doing this? But when you've got a bigger man in Errol Spence on the inside, you can clearly even see here how much bigger Errol Spence is than than Danny Garcia. He's much bigger fighter. Errol Spence is naturally a bigger fighter. Eventually he's gonna move up to the middleweight, super middleweight or middleweight, because he's a big guy, man. He loses all this weight to fight proper actual welterweights. It's crazy. No, that's why he's bigger than all these. He's bigger than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford's not a natural big guy, but he's bigger than Terence Crawford, bigger than Danny Garcia. The only fighter that I saw that really gave Errol Spence a lot of trouble, gave him a lot of hassle, Sean Porter. Sean Porter is a naturally strong, big guy. So, if you're gonna be giving Errol Spence problems, if you're not, a smaller guy, you're not opening up your hands. Sometimes you gotta use your brute force and brute strength. Just like Sean Porter, and even Sean Porter still got dropped and got rocked, and Errol Spence was able to beat him by split decision. You know, split decision as well. It wasn't like Danny Garcia that lost by unanimous decision on the cards conclusively. But hats off to Errol Spence. Hats off to Danny Garcia, Errol Spence. You know, coming off that layoff. You know, people have to look at this layoff. Like, most fighters will fight cream puffs. This guy fought Danny Garcia, proper fighter. This guy's fought guys like, you know, Furman, you know, Porter, and, you know, proper fighters. He's not fought. This is not a journeyman here. And Errol Spence was able to go in there and get unanimous decision off his recovery process, and he was able to get the job done. And so, what's going to be next for Errol Spence? Is he going to take on Pacquiao? Is he going to look to take on Terence Crawford? Terence Crawford was watching, like, what did Terence Crawford make of this? What did Terence Crawford? This ain't Kell Brook, washed up Kell Brook that took punishment from Golovkin and Errol Spence in the past. You know, this ain't washed up fighter. This is a fighter that is, you know, a proper contender, not Kell Brook that's took punishment and, you know, he's been in brutal wars before. You know, who's Terence Crawford been fighting? Who's he fought? He ain't fought nobody. He needs to fight one of these PBC dons, you know, and get some big fights made. Sean Porter, someone need to go to the pond and get Bob Arum. If he's still with Bob Arum, get some fights made with these guys, because all these top welterweights seem to be over on the PBC end. They need to get something done with these top fighters, man. Can't be fighting washed up fighters like Kell Brook and telling me that I'm some top fighter. What's that? Fight top fighters. And Errol Spence has fought a top fight here in Danny Garcia, and he's won by unanimous decision. Drop your comments in the comment section below. What are you, man, saying? What do you guys think about this fight? Like, subscribe, hit the bell button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Drop your comments in the comment section below. What do you guys think about this fight? Errol Spence, unanimous decision victory over Danny Garcia. Big win. What's going to happen next? Where does Errol Spence go from here? Where does Danny Garcia go from here? What happens next? That's my question. What happens next? What do you guys think about this fight? Are you, you know, surprised about the performance that Errol Spence was able to exhibit? Because a lot of people were thinking Errol Spence, if he gets tagged on the chin, he could get rocked or put to sleep or something. And obviously, he did get caught a few times, but, you know, Danny Garcia has got a good, decent right hand, and he's got a good left hook. So if he catches Errol Spence, I would expect Errol Spence to feel it. But he wasn't dropped at any point. He was rocked at one point, but he wasn't dropped. Didn't bang the canvas. People thought that this is gonna show us whether Errol Spence is still the same Errol Spence, and it's clear it's still the same Errol Spence. After he gets back in his groove, he gets one more fight, we're gonna see a full-blown, back to normal Errol Spence. He gave himself a B-. What do you guys give him? Do you give him an A+, B-? You know, maybe I kind of agree with his assessment. He's, you know, this is critical of his own self. B-. Yeah, for a comeback, he took a few shots. This is heavyweight, but this is boxing. You can't go in there and not take shots. It's gonna happen, you know. And he went in there, he did the job. Unanimous decision off the layoff. Solid victory, unanimous decision, clear as hell. Let's do it, man. Drop your comments in the comment section below. What are you guys saying about this one? Like, subscribe, share this video, hit the subscribe button again. Cool, guys, cool.